Howdy, howlers. This is Sako Tumi, also known as Cass Voit, and this is the third video in a series on how to be a game master. In previous episodes, we talked about your role as a GM, also how to write a campaign. For those that are already game masters, storytellers, dungeon masters, you know, whatever you want to call it, this series is on how to be a better GM. Today I'm going to talk about the 6 types of toxic players that you might run into and how to run for them. Number 1, the rule monger. If you crack open any White Wolf storyteller companion, the first rule of storytelling is that your rule trumps all. The books are suggestions, and you as the storyteller have the final say. At some point, you are bound to get caught up in an argument over the rules and arguing about some kind of mechanic. And rather than mulling over the books for hours and disrupting the flow of the game, just overrule them. Remind them that your word trumps the books. If they don't like it, they can leave. Number 2, the motor. This is the player that cannot separate out of character knowledge and in character knowledge. This is the player that assumes they can accomplish an amazing feat without consulting you or even rolling for it first. While the goal is for everyone to have fun, this doesn't mean you should have players that can bowl you over. You have to take it upon yourself to nerf that character so that they are less likely to assume that they will always win. And get used to saying, you don't know that because you weren't there. If it's a one-on-one game, this may not be so detrimental, but it can really mess up a team or a party-based game. Number 3, the mini-maxer. This is the player that tries to make their tune the most powerful that they can possibly be, sometimes behind the back of the GM and the other players. There are pros and cons to this kind of player. On one hand, their characters are so concrete that writing a story specifically for them is super easy. The downside is that it's a slippery slope to a very shifty rulemonger, except they may lie about what their character is capable of doing. The way around this is to put constraints on character generation and make sure you understand what it is your player is trying to accomplish. Number 4, the destroyer. These are the players that don't play well with others. They try to kill the NPCs or even other PCs and will stop at nothing to break your campaign. Who needs enemies when you have party mates like these? The remedy? Kick them out. They tend to be toxic people, and honestly, you don't need that kind of behavior in your life. Perhaps you should reevaluate this person as your friend. Number 5. The loner, also referred to as the princess. This player never wants to do what the party is doing. They will purposely separate themselves from everyone else, forcing you to split the party, which is awfully annoying when the two groups are one person and everybody else, which can hinder both. The way around this is to make the princess the party leader. Make them the focal point, in which all other players must follow in order for the story to progress. Be careful with this, because this can look like favoritism, especially if there comes a point where the player can't make the game and you have to cancel because of their absence. Make sure your game is stronger than that. And last but not least, number 6, the wallflower. This is the player who does not participate. They don't talk, they don't interact with players, they only act when it's their turn in combat, but otherwise it is very easy to forget they are even there. Sometimes making them team leader forces them to break out of their shell a little bit, especially if they're new to the troop, but sometimes these types of players are like super introverted, so making them leader can be more hinder than help. I touched last week on how to make a story, a campaign, link in the cards, but the best way really is for for this toon to have their own private storyline that links them to the campaign. Make it so that it really is in their best interest to help the other PCs succeed. There's a little, like, side note with a 6.5 are the players who get distracted during game. They're on their phones during play, they're doing dishes and clattering around and not paying attention to the game. This happens a lot during online games. The way around this is, imagine you are sitting at a table playing in a game, like in real life. Would you be on your phone the whole time? Would you get up and clatter around and do dishes and stuff like that? Or would you pay attention to the game and interact with the other players? Next week, I'm going to talk about the green lights. I'm going to talk about on how to be a good player. Until then, leave a comment on what kind of players are tough to GM for and what you do to deal with them. See you guys then. If you like this video at any point, I encourage you to hit the like button. And if you would like to see more videos like this one, I post every Monday at noon. So you might want to subscribe and maybe even ring that bell on the off chance that YouTube actually notifies you when a video goes up. And I will catch you guys on the flip side.